Hi everyone, welcome to Draw What I Want, a channel where I learn how to draw and I share this experience with you all. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Just before we continue, I'd like to just quickly remind you that if you do enjoy this video, then please hit that like button and consider subscribing because it will really help the channel grow. Thank you. Okay, so let's dive right in. In today's video, I'm going to be learning how to draw stacking tables. Okay, so this is a continuation after we've been learning how to draw hollow cubes and stacking cubes and so on. So I've been using the book from Mark Kistler, You Can Draw in 30 Days. Yeah, so this is the next lesson. So let's go ahead. See how it turns out. So this is my sketchbook. I'm going to be using just the normal black pencil. I did sharpen it a little bit. So we've got the sharpener here, the eraser, and then this is just something to look pretty. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so hollow cubes is the one that we did last time. So I'm going to be using this side of the sketchbook here. And it's stacking tables, so I'm just gonna write stacking tables just to remind stacking tables. So I've not tried to draw these ones yet. I did have a read yesterday through the steps that the artist is kind of guiding us to take, so hopefully it should be straightforward. So let's have a look. So I'm just gonna move this one away. I'm just going to move this one. These bookmarkers, they're quite cute, magnetic. I was looking for something to kind of separate my pages, so this is just something simple and nice looking as well. Okay, so step one, to begin with a strong foreshortened square. Okay. So the foreshortened square goes like this. So we've got two dots parallel to each other, okay? And then we've got two dots in the middle that are quite close to each other. So this is the beginning of the foreshortened square, and then we've got the lines going like that to create like a diamond looking shape. Okay, and then he's saying draw two short edges to create the top of the table. So we've got short ones here. Before, when we were drawing the cubes, these lines would be fairly long to make it like a proper square, whereas over here we're creating a table. Okay. And then step 3, draw the middle line longer using what extremely important drawing concept, the parallel lines. Like that. And then using the lines you have already drawn as reference, draw the bottom of this table top in directions northeast and northwest. So this is what he is referring to, so that's what we're going to do. So using this line as reference and this line as reference. So we've got northwest and northeast. Like that. So ideally even you would probably try, so we'll practice that, it's fine. This is just the first time we're doing it, we're learning, okay? All the improvements and adjustments can be done further down the line. And then number 5, draw the middle line longer to create the near edge of the table post. So over here, we're drawing the line. And then draw the sides of the table, excuse me, draw the sides of the table post as the artist done. So this is what he's referring to, these two. So they've just got to be in the middle here. So we'll just draw it like this. Okay. Okay, and then using the lines you have already drawn as reference, draw the bottom of the table post in directions northwest and northeast. So northwest and northeast, so exactly the same as this. So we're using these lines as reference, and we're drawing these lines accordingly. So northwest and northeast. Lovely. So now we've got the base here. Okay, and then the artist is basically drawing the horizon here with the light source. And the reason why he is drawing the horizon is just to kind of give us a perspective of where the stacking table is, whether it's like closer to us or further away to us. So, okay, so we'll draw the horizon here, and then the light source, so like the sun. Okay, so and then he's saying, very important step, place a guide dot directly below the near corner of the table post. He says many students forget to use this guide dot during this exercise to the detriment of their drawings. If you don't use the guide dot on every stacked table, your drawing might get progressively more skewed and then possibly distorted. Okay. So, very important, he says, very important, this one. So, actually, no, he says it's over here, a lot closer. Let me just erase this one. And then using the lines you have already drawn as reference, draw the front edge of the pedestal in direction northwest and northeast. Okay, so where the line is, here. So we need to draw the lines, okay? Using these lines as reference, or the above lines as reference. Okay, and then alert again, when you draw the back edges of the top of the pedestal, so this is the pedestal we've got, right? Be sure to go behind the corner of the post, behind it. These two very short lines need to be aligned up with the lines you have already drawn in directions northwest and northeast. Okay, so those ones. This is the second most common mistake students will make during this lesson. Students have a strong tendency to connect these two short lines directly to the post corners. Fight your instinct to connect corners, draw these lines behind the post, okay? So we need to draw lines here and lines here. So if we just, yeah, so that's fine. Like that. And then like that. And then these two lines, so for example, this one needs to be parallel to that one. And then this one needs to be parallel to that one. Okay. So does it look the same? Yeah, that's pretty cool, to be honest with you. It does create like this visual effect, doesn't it? I think without the guidance I would get really, really confused, but with the guidance it's all right. Okay, and then complete the pedestal, making sure to draw the corner lower. As always, use the lines you have already drawn. Okay, so we're actually drawing the full pedestal. So the pedestal is what the tables are hanging on, they're holding onto. So again, we just need to follow the same technique and the process as we did with this top one. So we'll go like that, and then this one a little bit longer, not so much. And then we need to draw this line parallel to this one, like that. And then this line parallel to this one. Nice. So that's a stacking cube. That is a stacking cube. Very cool. So, you know, when I was looking at the picture, like before, I was like, when I just started kind of learning through, you know, using this book as a guide, and before I started even any lessons, I was looking at this and I was like, oh my God, that looks so confusing. How on earth do you draw it? But when it's explained step by step and you follow it guidance step by step, then you can see how it becomes real then. Okay, and now add the cast shadow opposite your positioned light source. Light source, lighting. Shade the table and pedestal and add the dark undershadows of both sides of the post. Notice how that nice dark undershadow really pushes that post deep under the tabletop. There it is, another bum moment for our lesson. Okay, 1 sec, I'm just gonna grab some coffee. By the way, guys, if you're watching this video, have you ever tried to draw stacking tables? If you're learning to draw, whereabouts are you on your journey? What have you drawn so far? What books are you using to guide your process? Do you just do it on your own, with teachers, with friends, or is it literally just self-taught? I'd love to know. Okay, so let's just start with the shadow opposite. So we remember that shadow will need to be in this kind of direction. Lovely. And then just a bit of a shadow here. And then a bit of shadow here. A little bit of shadow here. So because we've got the light source here, we're doing the shadow on this side. If the light source was on the left side, the shadow would be on the right side here. Okay, and this is what he means by the darker shadows. So it kind of creates the illusion that obviously this top table is bigger, creating the shadow underneath. Nice. I think it looks good. What do you think, guys? Does it look the same as the artist? Did we do well? I think so. As I say, it's fairly easy to do when you follow a step-by-step guide, and I think the artist does a really good job of doing it here. It's a completely different story if, for example, I didn't have a book here and I was looking at something in front of me and not be having to kind of write it or draw it on my own. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so this is the stacking tables. So let's just kind of recap and try and draw one without the actual book, just to solidify what we've just learned, basically. Let's have a look. So the first one is to draw the foreshortened square, right? This one's a little bit longer. Oh. Like that. Then this one longer. This one's in the middle here. Okay. Then maybe one a little bit longer. And then this one. This one. And then remember the very important point he was saying, very important. So like that. and then this one a little bit longer, this one a little bit longer, and then remember it needs to go behind, right? So we're following this line needs to be parallel to that one, and then this line needs to be parallel to that one, like that. And then from here it's back to basics, straightforward. So yeah, I mean that's it, isn't it? That is it. And then the shadow one. There's a bit of shadow in here. So I think doing the basics, following the technique, I'm getting the hang of it. What about you? What I want to kind of know is how do you apply this kind of technique to drawing, like, you know, I don't know, cities, tables, you know, like the actual picture, the full picture rather than just one object. I think that's when everything is going to start falling into place like a puzzle. You know, being able to apply these techniques to draw whatever you want, basically. And that's the whole point, isn't it? So, you know, that's why I've called this channel Draw What I Want, because I want to be able to draw whatever I want. And if learning these techniques is going to help me do that, then fantastic. Okay, so these are my stacking tables. How did you get on? I'd love to hear about your experience. Did you follow along, or did you create anything else? But yeah, I thought that was all right. I enjoyed it. I thought I found it pretty straightforward. So next time, I know the artist basically always gives a little bonus challenge to follow. And again, this is what they are, the bonus challenge. I mean, these are the ones that we've just drawn. They're quite basic, but these ones, right, when I look at them, again, my mind and my brain just kind of starts, whoa, like it's gonna explode, because that's like a little bit of a different technique. It's more like a curve, but we'll give it a go. It's exciting to see how, you know, these are some examples of the students that he's been teaching and everything, so that's what they've done. So yeah, I'll see how it goes with the bonus challenge, but I thought today's lesson went successful. So thank you so much again for joining, everybody. Again, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing, because as I say, it will really help to grow the channel grow. All right then, have a lovely rest of the day, everybody, and thanks for joining. Bye bye.